Welcome to sqadia.com, and our lecture topic is nervous system, and we are on the fourth section of this lecture, and this topic is on the synapses and neural circuits. In this, we will be covering the other two important cells of the supporting neuroglia, that is the ependyma and microglia, and we will be briefly discussing what are the different types of synapses and how the synapses are actually named, labeled, and where they occur. So what is synapses and neural circuit? The nervous system consists of large number of neurons that are linked together to form a functional conducting pathways. When two neurons come into close proximity and functional interneuronal communication occurs, the site of such communication is referred to as a synapse. What actually happens is when two neurons joins together at a certain point so that they can transfer, that is all this action potential which is coming in from one neuron to the other, that point is actually called as a synapse. Most neurons may make up synaptic connection to 1,000 or more other neurons and may receive up to 10,000 connections from other neurons. So you can very well imagine how closely knit this circuit is. Mostly in the central nervous system, there are multiple neurons. As you know, they are receiving stimuli from multiple neurons. And then there is a long axon, which is actually then later on spreading in and transferring the action potential over the multiple end organs or effectors. What is microglia? Macroglial cells in the normal brain and the spinal cord appear to be inactive or sometimes called as the resting microglial cells. In inflammatory disease of the central nervous system, they become immune effector cells. They retract their processes and migrate to the site of the lesion. Hence, they proliferate and become antigen-presenting cells, which together with the invading T cell lymphocytes confront the invading organisms. As you know that this brain is a living tissue, so there definitely blood is going through, which is the small capillaries which are present inside the nervous tissue are actually carrying oxygen and nutrients. But if this tissue gets infected, the T cell will migrate through these capillary walls via this first diapetesis and gradually will reach the point of infection. Along with, to sensitize those T cells which have reached there at that time, the role of the microglia is very important. They're actually the antigen presenting cells in the central nervous system. What is the ependyma or ependymal cells? Ependymal cells lines the cavities of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. They form a single layer of cells that are cuboidal or columnar shape and possess microvilli and cilia. Ependymal cells may be divided into three groups: ependymocytes, tanycytes, and choroidal epithelial cells. Now it's actually just imagine that as we have a skin and it has a layers, actually the central nervous system is surrounded by a thin layer of cells called as ependymal cells. And what is its role? For example, ependymocytes have a role in different secretion of substances. Choroidal epithelial cells in central nervous system actually secrete CSF, and this CSF is secreted has a very important role in central nervous system, and as this is actually a kind of a solute in which the whole thing is suspended. Coming to the types of synapses, now they could be based on the morphology. This could be exodendritic, exosomatic, or exoaxonal. So we all know that what are dendrites. Dendrites are these neurites which are actually bringing the stimuli towards the nerve cell. In this diagram, these are the dendrites. When these dendrites fuse with the axons over here, then as you can see over here, this is the axon coming in and this is the dendrite. So this synapse of this neuron with this neuron is exodendritic, because axon is dividing and synapsing on the other dendrites of another axon. It could be exosomatic. Then the axon comes in and instead of synapsing on the dendrite, it synapses on the cell body of the another neuron. This is exosomatic, as you can appreciate over here in this diagram. It could be exoaxonal. Now this is an exosomatic type of synapse, but if you see over here, these are two different neurons. They both have these axons, and the axons are actually converging on the axons, forming an exoaxonal type of a synapse. So mainly there are three: exodendritic, when axons synapse on the dendrites; Exosomatic when axons of one neuron synapse on the cell body of the other neuron, and exoaxonal when axons of one neuron synapse on the axons of another neuron, that is exoaxonal type of synapses. So we have divided synapses into two types. There is electrical and chemical, in which there is electric current flows across the membrane from presynaptic terminal to the postsynaptic terminal. Now remember, this is a synapse. Synapse could be a gap or it could be anything. Then there are presynaptic terminal, which is actually from where the stimulus is coming in, and then there's a postsynaptic terminal from which is after the synapse and where the action potential or stimulus is gonna go. So it could be either electrical or chemical. Electrical could be there is actually passing of electric current across from presynaptic potential to the postsynaptic potential. What actually happens in a chemical synapse, there is a presynaptic potential which arrives at the cell membrane. This results in a release of certain chemical mediator which flows across the synapse, and then it binds with a certain receptor in the postsynaptic terminal, and those postsynaptic terminal once binds with that, then the regeneration of action potential occurs in the postsynaptic terminal, and then the stimulus is actually taken from presynaptic terminal to the postsynaptic terminal. In chemical synapse, in which a chemical substance called a neurotransmitter passes across the narrow space between the cells and become attached to a protein molecule in the postsynaptic membrane called a receptor. Now this is a classical example of a chemical synapse. Now if you see over here, this is the presynaptic terminal, this is the postsynaptic terminal. Once the stimuli would arrive, this would result in the release of acetylcholine into the synaptic cleft. Once acetylcholine is released, this binds with the acetylcholine receptors over the postsynaptic terminal. Now, once binding of it actually releases another cascade of things in the postsynaptic terminal, thereby this stimuli which was coming from in the presynaptic terminal is actually transferred to the postsynaptic terminal. Now there is a process called as transduction. When stimulus of one type actually changes into another type is called as transduction. For example, nerve cannot sense pressure. For example, we have different organs in our skin called as, for example, rafine corpuscle, Pacinian corpuscle. These are actually which sense vibration. But nerves cannot sense vibration. So what actually happens is once these are stimulated, they are stimulated by vibration. But these corpuscles do not transmit vibration. Rather, they convert this vibration into some electrical stimuli, which is actually conducted by the neurons. So this process in which one thing is actually converted in another form is called as transduction. Similarly, over here what is actually happening is that this may be an electrical stimuli, this action potential over the axon is coming in, which may be in form of electrical stimulus, but it can transducts into a chemical where the catecholamines are released. These catecholamines or acetylcholine are purely chemicals. They get released to the synaptic cleft, they bind with the receptors, and once they bind with the receptors, again another action potential is generated over in the postsynaptic cleft due to influx of sodium potassium ions. Now again the transduction has place from chemical to the electrical. Once at presynaptic level, it was from the electrical to chemical, and then again from chemical to electrical. In this section, we have covered the other two types of cells in the neuroglia, which include the microglia and the ependymocytes, or the ependymal cells, which include ependymocytes, tenocytes, and choroidal epithelial cells. We've covered different types of synapses, what are different morphological classification of synapses, and we have covered what is the synaptic cleft and how actually from presynaptic potential it is actually transferred to the postsynaptic membrane via either electrical or a chemical mediator. Thank you very much. Keep watching sqadia.com.